Committee for Commerce and Consumer Protection will come to order. Today is February 22nd, and today we will be hearing Senate File 1086. This bill pertains to the sale of liquor on Sundays in Minnesota. This is an important issue with strong opinions on both sides for and against its passage. Due to the interest involved in this legislation, we are limiting the testimony that will take place to 30 minutes for the folks testifying in favor of the bill and 30 minutes for the folks testifying in opposition to the bill. The testimony will take place after Senator Miller presents his bill, and we'll start with the testifiers that signed up to support in favor of the bill, and then hear from the testifiers signed up in support against the bill. After that is concluded, if we have time, we'll continue to take testimony if we have time from both the pros and the cons, or the folks supporting and not supporting, from the public in attendance. We'll be taking questions from the members as the testimony and presentations are made, and we will be planning on voting at no later than 11:50. So with that said, Senator Housley, do you move that? Will you make the motion to bring Senate File 1086 before the committee?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Housley. Senator Miller, please present your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I do have an A1 amendment.
Senator Miller has an A1 amendment that is a delete all amendment, and that will get his bill in the condition that he wants it in order to present the bill. All those in favor signify. Senator Housley, would you offer the A1 amendment?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to offer the A1 amendment.
Senator Housley has offered the A1 amendment. Is there any discussion? The A1 amendment being offered. All those.
Chairman?
Senator Latz.
Mr. Chairman, is this the first committee for this bill?
This is the first committee for the bill.
So this is an author's amendment?
Yes, this is the author's amendment.
Thank
Yes.
you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any further questions, any further from the members of the committee? Hearing no further questions, all those in favor of supporting the amendment say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The amendment carries. Senator Miller, please present your bill as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. The language of the bill is straightforward. This bill would allow off-sale liquor sales on Sundays in the state of Minnesota between the hours of 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. It would also prohibit deliveries or merchandising by wholesalers on Sundays, and the effective date is July 1st, 2017. And with that, Mr. Chair, I would, instead of hearing my comments on the bill, I would allow, I think Senator Osmek has a couple comments, and then I would like to allow as many folks in the audience to testify on the bill.
Senator Osmek, would you like to present your testimony in favor of this bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In your packets is a color handout of some tax revenue information. I just wanted to bring to the attention of the committee what happened in the state of Colorado. On July 1st, 2008, the state of Colorado implemented Sunday sales in their jurisdiction. The yellow shaded area that you see from 2008 to 2013 is what impact happened to the tax revenue that the state of Colorado received. You'll see that it increased at 3.13% in 2018, and in subsequent years it also continued to increase. I'd also like to point out a line below that. You'll see a line that says CPI versus tax, and I've included with this the Consumer Price Index from the state of Colorado at the same period of time. And you'll see overall, while there were years where the tax revenue did not exceed CPI, overall across those 6 years, it did increase actually above CPI by 27%. That's in the green shaded area when you look at the averages between all of the years. Also on this page is the Minnesota tax revenue for the same years, as well as the same CPI comparison. And you'll see that Minnesota actually was below CPI with, when you compare it to our tax revenue generation. The final portion is an interesting concept that Senator Housley brought to my attention is what would it be if we followed the same increase in sales or in tax revenue that the state of Colorado did, removing what we actually received, which was very small. When you see that tax line, it's 1%, 1.04% going across the years. And if we actually had the same trend that Colorado had, we would actually have netted out in those 6 years approximately $7 million more in tax revenue. Granted, I will grant you that this is not a one-to-one correlation. It is just anecdotal evidence that speaks to the fact that there is more tax generation in the years that followed Sunday sales in the state of Colorado. There could be a number of factors, and I will give you that. But for individuals who want to talk to the fact that there may be 6 days of sales spread across 7, one thing that you see here is that there was actually additional tax generation, therefore there were increased sales. I won't belabor the point any further than that, and I would take any questions you might have.
Thank you, Senator Osmick, Senator Miller, and Senator Osmick. Members have any questions for either Senator Miller or Senator Osmick? Senator Latz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Osmick, I'm looking at your handout here, and it shows Sunday sales started July 1. Is that 2000? What's the date on there?
I'm sorry, it should be 2008. I typoed that. They started not 18, it was 2008.
Okay, and so in the first year, it underperformed CPI. In the second year, it overperformed. In the third year, it underperformed. In the fourth year, it underperformed. And now you get to 2012, 2013, so you're 5 and 6 years out. And but 3 out of the 6 years, it underperformed CPI. But you had a couple of years where it overperformed enough that you can, in the end, you're trying to draw a causal connection between that and a 27% overperformance on CPI since Sunday sales. I mean, did you put these numbers together?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Latz, yes, I got them, and I footnoted where those numbers came from. As I said, this is not a causal relationship. I will say that up front. It's not automatic, but I just wanted to bring some context to what happened in a different state in the United States when they implemented Sunday sales. There's a number of factors that could be contributing to that increase above CPI or below CPI for that matter. But I thought I would at least bring it to the attention of the committee that there was an increase in tax revenue.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I mean, this isn't even a study that makes any pretense of controlling for myriads of other factors that affect CPI. I mean, what's the top line there when it says after Colorado and the comparable line for Minnesota? Is that total tax revenue? What's that? Starts in 2004 at $31,317,458. What's that number represent?
Mr. Chairman, Senator Latz, this is the numbers that came from the state of Colorado for the alcohol-generated tax revenue. As I footnoted it, that's where I've got the information from.
Tax revenue. All right. And so, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. So in the intervening time there, you've got a trend here where you've had 2 presidential elections. We've had a recession that various states pulled out of more or less at different paces. You've had untold and unknown factors in the Colorado economy, including, if I remember correctly, recreational marijuana becoming legal. And you're sitting here telling us that you're not suggesting a causal connection, but the whole purpose of this handout is to specifically suggest a causal connection. Why else would you be handing it out? I mean, there's absolutely no statistical or scientific basis or relevance behind this handout other than to confuse the situation. Mr. Chairman, I'm perfectly happy to listen to valid information I think could be helpful to making this determination. But all this does is confuse the facts that we have before us for consideration. It's not even worth the paper it's printed on. I'm sorry.
No, Mr. Chairman, I presented the information as best I could, and I'm sorry if members don't necessarily believe that in the numbers that I have there. I have footnoted them, and that's where I'll leave it.
Thank you, Senator Osment. Other members, any questions for Senator Miller or Senator Osment? Hearing no more questions, we will move to the testifiers. I'd like to start with the Tamara Kramer. She will come forward. And if Paul Oswick would like to come to the table also. When you come to the table to testify, please state your name and who you represent, and try to keep your comments short. And as we go on, if comments have been already made, I appreciate not having them remade because it gives more people the opportunity to testify. Ms. Kramer.
Thank you. Good morning, Committee Chairman Doms and committee members. I appreciate this opportunity to share my perspectives on the debate about Sunday liquor sales and asking you to support Senator Miller's Sunday liquor sales bill. My name is Tamara Kramer. I've lived in Minnesota for 25 years since moving here from North Dakota to attend the Carlson School of Management at the University of Minnesota. I'm currently a resident of Savage, Minnesota, and I'm the sole owner of a specialty liquor store called Vom Voss in Mall of America, which I opened in April of 2014 with my life savings. Some people think that because my business happens to be in Mall of America, it's not a mom and pop shop, and they're sort of right. Vom Voss is a mother, daughter, granddaughter, and 8 other wonderful employees shop. I'm proud that I created 10 new jobs in Minnesota after being laid off twice in corporate reorgs during my 20-year career in large Minnesota corporations. Being laid off was not a change that I wanted or was comfortable with, but I faced it with optimism and energy to create a new business model that serves an eager consumer market and creates a great place to work for 10 Minnesotans. And yes, I now feel the weight of responsibility for making good business choices so that I won't have to downsize my employees, including my own family members. Opening my store on Sundays would have a positive effect on my business, as well as many other small family-owned liquor stores in resort and tourist destinations, border towns, and elsewhere across Minnesota. We small business owners who support Sunday liquor sales don't have an association that represents our perspectives, so you haven't heard as much about or from us. I expect Sunday liquor sales would result in at least a 10% increase in my annual sales. That would be huge for a small business owner such as me. It would provide welcome cash flow and support my goal of opening more Vom Voss shops in Minnesota, creating more jobs. That said, my desire to open Vom Voss on Sundays isn't really about me. It's about the 70% up to 80%, I've seen some polls, of Minnesota residents and an even larger percentage of Minnesota visitors who want the option to buy liquor on Sundays. I simply want the option to open my store when my customers want to shop. And some of the arguments that have been my perspective on some of the arguments against it, I just don't believe that state law should mandate which days business owners should open or close their stores. We should have the right to choose the schedule that makes sense for our own families and our own businesses, just as customers should be able to choose when to shop. If some business owners don't think they'll generate enough additional sales on Sundays to cover the extra wages, which are really the only incremental expense, they should certainly have the right to stay closed, just as I should have the right to open my store if it makes sense for me. I believe liquor sales will increase in Minnesota if you pass a Sunday sales bill. Those increased sales will come from Minnesota consumers who currently shop on Sundays in our neighboring states. And when people shop for liquor in Minnesota, they also shop for groceries, gas, and dining. Additional sales will also come from Minnesotans who have an unexpected opportunity to socialize with friends and want to serve liquor at gatherings at their homes, as well as those whose busy lives simply don't allow them to shop on other days of the week. And it'll also come from those who simply want to shop on Sundays for whatever the reason. Increased sales will also come from consumers who are visiting Minnesota from all over the world who currently don't realize that they need to plan ahead to buy liquor on Saturday when spending a weekend in Minnesota. Tourism is a large and growing industry in this state, and we are missing out by not allowing tourists to buy packaged liquor on Sundays. Increased liquor sales are a good thing for Minnesota and its citizens. Surely there are important programs that serve the people of Minnesota that could put millions of dollars of additional tax revenue to good use. Regarding claims that Sunday liquor sales will negatively impact public health in Minnesota, I don't buy it. I think people who do have a problem with alcohol are the likeliest to plan ahead and stock up for Sundays, or worse, drive to a restaurant or out-of-state liquor store, which is more of a public safety concern. Minnesota and the rest of the country tried prohibition to control the consumption of alcohol, and it clearly didn't work, and in fact made things worse. It's time to eliminate the last remnant of it in our state. Regarding one group's concern about delivering liquor stores on Sundays, the amendment already takes care of that, but I wouldn't have ever asked for delivery on one of my busiest days anyway. And aside from that, I think delivery companies should have the right to choose for themselves if it makes sense for them to deliver on Sundays as well. Regarding the Minnesota Licensed Beverage Association objections to Sunday liquor sales, a recent MinnPost article quoted the MLBA's Executive Director, Tony Chesek, as follows. The MLBA believes our current system works for Minnesotans and opposes major changes that will simply disrupt a system that is serving consumers well, unquote. However, polls overwhelmingly indicate that the current system is not serving Minnesota consumers well, and the liquor store parking lots in our neighboring states that are full of Minnesota license plates on Sundays confirm that our current system is not working well for consumers, nor for the state of Minnesota. Quoting Mr. Chesek again from his executive director's report in the MLBA's January-February 2016 magazine, he said, I find it interesting that a business owner opened up an establishment and then immediately wanted to change the successful and existing structure just to fit their idea of their own business model. And perhaps I'm wrong, but I think he may have been talking about me. And committee members, I believe that challenging the status quo is called entrepreneurship and innovation. That's what brew pubs and distilleries have been doing the past several years. That's what Minnesota wineries have been doing for the past decade or so. And that's what I've been doing with the Vom Foss off-sale liquor concept. Innovation does serve customers, and they're proving that with their wallets. And the state of Minnesota and its citizens benefit from the growth of new liquor concepts. It's time to adapt our systems to support business owners who are ready, willing, and able to create business models that serve Minnesota consumers and what visitors want. Voting yes to Sunday liquor sales is not anti-small business. A yes vote simply offers options for additional small businesses to provide products and experiences that their customers are seeking on Sundays as well as every other day. When we don't meet consumer demands here in Minnesota, they go to other states that are willing to supply it 7 days a week. I understand that this change may be uncomfortable or undesirable for some small business owners. Remember, I've been in the position of having to figure out how to make the best of a change that wasn't my preferred choice. However, I don't see it as the state's responsibility to try to maintain an environment that protects some businesses' desire to keep things the way they've always been, when the entire market has shifted its expectations and shopping patterns. Over the past several years, Senators, you've approved bills that change the system to support opportunities for restaurants, breweries, distilleries, and wineries. I'm asking you for the same kind of support for off-sale liquor store owners who want to capitalize on market opportunities. Please vote yes on Senator Miller's bill. Thank you for hearing me today. Do you have any questions?
Members, any questions for Ms. Kramer? Hearing no questions, thank you, Ms. Kramer. Mr. Joswick, would you please state your name and who you represent for the record and present your testimony?
Hey, thanks. I'm Paul Joswick from the Hollywood Roadhouse. It's a liquor store, restaurant, and a bar in Highway 7 in Hollywood, Minnesota. I don't have a really scripted speech, but I'm in support of the bill because right now it's just the right thing to do. My staff and myself don't have regular schedules every week. We don't have the weekends off. We work the weekends. Some of my staff, their weekend is Sunday and Monday. Mine is Wednesday and Thursday. People work first shifts and third shifts. Everything has changed. This needs to change. When you guys allowed the you got wineries and the beer tap rooms to sell off sale on Sundays. I could tell it changed the bar industry. Now they don't have to come to a bar to buy booze or beer or wine because they can go right to the beer thing. So it's already halfway approved. It just needs to go to the next step to be approved. I'm not speaking just for myself. I speak for a lot of liquor store owners that I know of, because we all talk. Some are against it, not many that I've spoken to. Many are for it because they can just see more sales. I'm just amazed that it hasn't been okayed or followed through so far. And I know since the House passed it the other day, it's great. I don't have a lot more to say. I just want to say thanks. And once again, I don't see us delivering. You know, one of the things was, I know some of our wholesalers didn't want to deliver on Sunday. Well, we don't like having deliveries on big days anyway. They usually come on off days, so that really isn't going to affect anybody's weekend schedules or anything like that. It's just not an issue. Just want to say thanks for letting me speak here, and a little bit scared a bit, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Joswick. Members, any questions for the testifier? Senator Lance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sir, if you could answer a question for me. The original bill allowed Sunday sales without any time restrictions. The A1 amendment that went on today limits Sunday sales between the hours of 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. Do you have any opinion as to how that might affect your operations? Do you have a preference one way or the other?
Well, you know, the store hour issue, and thank you for that. I forgot that point. That was in my mental notes. One of the issues was being open on Sundays. You know, each individual liquor store, well, I can set my own hours as long as they fall within the state guidelines. So being open on Sunday from 11 a.m. to 6 at night, perfect. We have a liquor store, restaurant, and a bar under a single roof. On Sundays, we just don't open up that particular store. Falling in that 11 o'clock a.m. thing is fine. It doesn't affect me. Any liquor store, I know some like to be open at 8 in the morning or whatever the state. We don't open at 8, so I don't really know the opening time frame. But I know some liquor stores open during the week at 8 a.m. or 9, and we don't. We open up at 2. Most of our liquor sales are coming home from work. They want to pick up a package of something and come home. So I can only see that happening right now. You know, a lot of sports events and a lot of things that happen on Sundays. I can only see, you know, Fridays, Saturdays are big days in the liquor store. You know, weekdays, Mondays, Tuesdays, you know, it's kind of half. I was told I don't have a button here in case I happen to say a bad word, but they're just not as good. You know, usually the Sundays would be a good day. Sunday would be like the third best day of the week. Usually in a bar, restaurant industry, it's the third best of the week. So hope that answers your question.
Members, other questions from members for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Joswick, for your
Thank you.
testimony. Would Mr. Schmidt come forward, please? And Mr. Schmidt, if you would please state your name and who you represent and proceed with your testimony. And
Yes,
welcome
my
to
name
the
is
committee.
Andrew Schmidt. I represent working moms and dads in Minnesota. I'm from St. Paul myself, and thank you to the chair and committee for listening to the testimony today of myself and these store owners. And you've been provided a few letters as well from some city councilors in Lakeville and Oakdale, and one of the store owners that wasn't able to come today who has some stores in greater Minnesota. So, you know, just Real quick, I'll keep it brief. On behalf of, busy parents, busy working Minnesotans all across the state, we certainly ask that you allow these store owners to provide us the opportunity to shop when it works for busy parents and allow those that would like to take the opportunity to stay closed. They can do that as well. But what we're really asking is to provide the choice and opportunity to provide the revenue, the jobs, and the economic freedom for Minnesota to move forward and be done with the last vestiges of prohibition. So thank you. I'll take any questions if you have them.
Thank you, Mr. Schmidt. Members, any questions for Mr. Schmidt? Seeing no questions, thank you, Mr. Schmidt. We will now bring up the folks that are in opponents to this bill. So if Mr. Fry and Mr. Hummel would please come forward.
Yeah, thank you. I believe he was first.
Mr. Fry and Mr. Hummel, welcome to the committee today. We appreciate your being here to hear your testimony. We'll start with Mr. Fry. If you would state your name and who you represent and proceed with your testimony.
Thank you, Senator. My name is Gary Fry, and I'm here today as a concerned citizen, and I would ask the senators here today to vote no on Sunday liquor sales. And basically for three reasons. First of all, on moral grounds. The Bible says, wine is a mocker, strong drink is raging, and whosoever is deceived thereby is not wise. That was written by King Solomon, King of Israel. And when I look at this on moral grounds, I have to look at my own life first. I grew up in Northeast Ohio, close to Akron, Ohio. And at that time, in 1970, you could buy beer when you were 18 years old. And as soon as I turned 18, I'll guarantee you I started buying beer. And because I was the oldest one of all my friends, I was sort of the big shot, and we would go to the farmer's market, drive our car in, open the trunk, and I would buy beer for everybody. And I'll guarantee you, from the time I was 18 until I was 22, alcohol ruined my life. I think of some of my high school classmates. They would have graduated from Ravenna High School in 1971. But in that fall, they were out partying out in the country. And they decided that they were going to take their nice cars. They all had nice cars. I remember Charlie Wagner. I mean, they worked part-time as they went to high school. And they decided they were going to race into town. They'd all been drinking that night. As they drove into town, about 4 or 5 miles, unfortunately, the two cars hit each other. They wrecked, and all 5 of the young men were killed. One of my friends, Eddie, worked for the Shorts Funeral Home, and they were called out to pick up the bodies. As he went out there to pick up the bodies, he saw one of our schoolmates without his head. And my friend always enjoyed working in that type of area. He thought, I don't know why, when he was a young kid, he thought that was exciting. I'm going to go out to the site and, help out. And he said, Gary, he goes, I never want to go on something like this again. They were our schoolmates. They would have graduated in 1971, but all 5 of them were killed on that day. And I would say no to Sunday liquor sales for those 5 boys. They never got a chance to go to college. They never got a chance to get their first job. They never got a chance to marry or to have children. I can remember we were all seniors that year, and we decided we're never going to drink again. That lasted for about a week. So on moral grounds, I'd ask that you would vote no on Sunday liquor sales. Secondly, I'd like you to vote no on Sunday liquor sales because alcohol is destructive. All we have to do is see the major auto wrecks that are caused by alcohol. Just a few weeks ago, a lady up in Foley was going somewhere with her family, and a drunk driver ran into her, killed her, a mom of 2 or 3 children. Those children will never see that mom again. Say no to Sunday liquor sales for that mom that was killed in Foley. How many work days have been missed because of alcohol? It costs, when you look at the studies, it literally costs companies millions of dollars a year on lost time. And finally, we see that families are ruined because of alcohol. This summer, I went to the Legislative Task Force on Child Protection. Senator Kathy Sharon was one of the chair people. And I really didn't understand why they were having this at first. I asked one of the senators there, I says, why do we have this Legislative Task Force on Child Protection? And the lady senator said, well, Gary, people are killing their children. And I was just shocked. I'm like, that can't be true. She goes, yeah, people are killing their children. And after June, July, August, everyone comes in, the BCA comes in, Child and Family Services comes in, all these different people that are working on this task force for child protection. They finally came to the conclusion, somebody finally asked the question, why are these parents killing their children? And the BCA and all the other people said the reason why they're killing their children for 2 reasons. They're either high on drugs or they're high on alcohol when they kill their children. So for all the children that have been killed by parents that have been messed up on alcohol, I would say please vote no on Sunday liquor sales. And finally, Sunday liquor sales really defies common sense. If people are causing this much destruction with 6 days of liquor sales, just think what 7 days are going to do. So just respectfully, I would hope that you would say no to Sunday liquor sales. And I just come today as a concerned citizen. I have been a pastor for 37 years, and I know we only have till noon, but I could tell you story after story of ruined lives because of alcohol. And I would just say, please, say no to Sunday liquor sales. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fry. Members, any questions? Senator Hayes.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Pastor Fry, for your compelling testimony, and I appreciate your perspective. I do take a little exception. I served on the Child Protection Task Force. We did a lot of work and extensive work, and there were a lot of reasons why kids are abused. Alcohol and drugs could be one of the factors. Mental health could be another. Poverty could be the other issue. There are just a lot of reasons. So I know that you didn't intentionally try to come and say things that maybe are inaccurate, and I know that you're passionate about this issue, but I am concerned, and I would warn you to make sure that when you are testifying, that we're accurate in our testimony. It does not help our children in Minnesota, and it doesn't help the system that tries to protect them if we narrowly tailor the issue to just drugs and alcohol as why kids in Minnesota are abused. I appreciate your concern about this issue, but once again, I would just say that as we go through this process, that is one of the contributing factors, but there are a lot of other issues and why kids in Minnesota are abused.
Well, thank you for that clarification, and I was just trying to share my perspective as I heard it, just as a person. You had more information because you were actually on the task force yourself, so thank you, Senator.
Other members have any questions? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Fryer, for your testimony. Mr. Hummel, would you please state your name and who you are representing, and go ahead
My
with your
name is
testimony.
Gary Hummel. This is my dog Itty Bitty. I'm representing my daughter Jamie, who was killed by a drunk driver. And I'm also representing in 2015, 10,265 alcohol deaths. That's 300 more than was in 2014. And in 2016, on average, 28 people a day died of alcohol-related deaths. I'm opposing this Sunday liquor law. And I don't remember what your name is, sir, with the child support, but my son murdered my grandson on drugs and alcohol and is serving life in prison. And it's killed my family. And I don't think we need to open it up. We've got $2 billion in revenue right now. How much more do we need? How much more is it going to take to save somebody else's life? Because every day this is happening. Turn on the news. I don't speak just for my beautiful daughter, Jamie. I'm speaking for everyone here. You might go home and tonight the doorbell might ring and it might say your child didn't make it because a drunk driver hit her and killed her. And it's not right. And I just think that on Sunday, it's going to cause more death. And I don't think that outweighs money in the state. That's my testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Hummel, for sharing your story. It's certainly one that we need to hear. Thank you. Members, any questions for Mr. Hummel? Seeing no questions, again, thank both of you for your testimony. If Mr. Trocchi and Mr. Chesick would come up next, please.
Thank you for hearing me.
Senator?
Gentlemen, if you would please introduce, please state your name and who you represent for the record, and Mr. Trocchi, if you would like to start.
Good morning, Mr. Senator Dames, Chairman Dames, and members of the committee. Some of you maybe recognize me. My name is Peter Trocchi. I am chair of the Nicollet County Republicans, but I'm not here today as that. I'm here as a small business owner, and I'm here as owner of Riverfront Liquor in Mankato, Minnesota. I have a handout for all the senators, if someone could get that to them. And the article that I would like you to take note of is on top of that handout, and that was printed in the Proof magazine, comes out by the Minnesota Licensed Beverage Association, of which I am a member. I come here today in opposition to Senate File 1086, members. And many things have already been talked about, the added cost of doing business and an extra day. I anticipate at my store it could be upwards of $10,000 to be open one extra day between labor and turning on the lights and so on. There is added cost to being open. Everyone knows that when you turn the key to a store. Other stores have many, and I'm looking at 1 to 2 people in my store, hopefully just one on a Sunday, because I don't believe we're going to have the traffic that would warrant anything more than that. I'm looking at the loss of revenue and the loss of tax money due to no pull-ahead sales on Fridays and Saturdays. I'm looking at the intrusion of big box retailers should Sunday liquor become available. Right now, these people don't want to use space in their store because they can't sell something 7 days. If we open it up to 7 days, they're going to want it in their store. And it's going to be us versus them, the big box versus me, the independent, and all the other independents in the state of Minnesota. And something like that will destroy us. Right now, there's a liquor store for sale in Mankato, one of my competitors. They've been in business a long, long time. They sent a letter to all of us asking if we were interested in buying their store before they went to a realtor. That was 4 months ago. That store is still for sale. Used to be an off-sale liquor store in Mankato, was snatched up very quickly if it became available. It can be a good business. I don't want another liquor store in Mankato. I don't want to be another independent liquor store owner at this time. I'm afraid if this passes, I could have a white elephant around my neck right now. It is reported that general consumers favor Sunday sales. We had testimony to that. Why would they say anything different when they have no skin in the game? They have no skin in the game. It's just we could stop in on Sunday. They don't realize the cost of being in business. It is stated Sunday tends to be the biggest shopping day. There is a significant difference between shopping and buying. The vast majority of our customers are in and out of the store within 3 minutes. Most people don't come into my store and window shop. An extra day of selling will simply spread what we sell in 6 days over 7. I disagree with the idea of additional sales by being open an extra day. Simply put, somebody still has to drink it. The general argument for Sunday sales is consumers traveling across the state's border. I would argue that if folks live close to the border, they're doing this every day of the week in order to pay less tax on their purchase. I called out to a liquor store yesterday in Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin. And I asked the gal on the other end, I told her I was from Minnesota and I was checking prices. We settled on a case of Miller Lite. I have it for sale at $18.99 in my store. They have it for sale at $18.99 in theirs. Out the door in Wisconsin, it's $20.03. I asked the gal, what's your tax rate? She didn't know. I did the math, it's 5.5%. Out the door in Mankato, Minnesota is $20.96. 93 cents difference in sales tax. I'll tell you, those people aren't driving there just on Sunday because we're not open in Minnesota. They're driving there to save the tax revenue, or the tax money, excuse me. Another argument which was heard in the House, and Senator Osmek came, was in reference to Colorado and the additional tax revenue every year since Sunday sales was introduced. A note about the beer business. The breweries, Miller Coors, Anheuser-Busch, and others have price increases every year, sometimes on certain packages, sometimes straight across the board. Normally that takes place on October the 1st. With a sales use tax structure on a percentage of dollars spent like we have here in Minnesota, you will always have additional tax money generated in liquor stores on same sales year after year. $1 on a case of beer would put 10 cents on each one that goes out the door in tax revenue. Liquor stores generate a great sum of tax money for the state. An overwhelming majority of liquor store owner-operators are not in favor of Sunday sales. This is verified by the MLBA. I believe it makes good sense for the state to do what a majority of its tax-collecting partners, liquor store owner-operators want, and say no to Sunday sales. On a side note, again, people say, well, you don't have to be open if you don't want to be. I grew up on a dairy farm. I'm not afraid to work on Sundays. Sunday was just another day. My dad's cousin got into the feed store business about 40 years ago. And he stopped at our dairy farm one morning about 6 o'clock and talked about my dad's feed order. And he said, I have to get into town to Gaylord. I have to open the store at 7. My dad said, why do you open already at 7? And he said, well, because the other guys in town are open. And if somebody forgot a bag of milk price or something like that, and they need to get it, and I'm not there, they'll go to the next guy. And then he'll be the guy from here on out. So to say we can choose to be open doesn't work when you're in a competitive business. If you look at that article, and I'll try and wrap it up, it's written in this article, the concept of Sunday sales was sold in Colorado the same way it's currently being sold in Minnesota. In promise of increased sales, increased tax revenue, customer convenience, etc. The lady interviewed says she is still waiting for those promised sales increases. She states that Saturday's last-minute rush no longer occurs, and Saturday's previous gross sales are now divided between Saturday and Sunday, and that Sunday is generally a great cleaning and inventory day. I was in Colorado 2 years ago, and I went into a store on Sunday, and I talked to the person in charge, and I could have written that article. That is exactly what they told me. I see that in my own store on the day after a holiday. It's the worst day of the week. There's no business. It also, the writer wrote, and it's Gary Bizey, who is the manager of the Rogers Municipal Liquor Store, and I don't want to take away from what Meister Chizik might say, but contemporary free market theory addresses market growth due to minimal interference. The same theory recognizes the likelihood of the formation of monopolies due to minimal market control. Open market economics stimulate big box market growth at the expense of small business. Small businesses provide us the choices, and changing this market structure will not bring us to sales and tax revenues promised. I want to say also, when you look at big box, a lot of our wholesalers have deals, and I brought along a price sheet that I could show you if you wanted to see it. They'll have deals where you can save 40 cents or something on a case of beer if you buy 296, or maybe 198 or 104. A small owner like myself in a small store, I can't, first of all, place 296 cases of one type of beer in the store. There physically isn't room for it, nor do I have the capital like a corporation to pay for it the second they deliver it. I thank you, and I'll take any questions.
Members, any questions for Mr. Truckee? Seeing no questions, thank you, Mr. Truckee, for your testimony. Mr. Tesic, if you would please say your name and who you're representing and proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, members of the committee, my name is Tony Chesick. I am the Executive Director of the Minnesota Licensed Beverage Association, the MLBA. The members are the people, Minnesotans, who own liquor stores and bars. They're almost exclusively family-owned and ran businesses that operate in every community in the state of Minnesota. If this bill passes, it will hurt small business in the metro area and in the rural area. Some say the government shouldn't make rules to tell businesses what to do. Business should decide. I would argue that all businesses operate with some legal structure: insurance, banking, real estate, even hair cutting. Alcohol is highly regulated. Government has set rules in the days of the week, hours of the day, who can buy it, where it can be bought, and how much can legally be consumed. What business wants is from government is fair regulation, certainty as to the rules that govern their business. Only with that certainty can business people make decisions to go into business and continue to invest in. This changes the rules for approximately 1,000 small businesses in Minnesota. There is no suggestion that current regulation has led to not enough access to alcohol, inadequate selection of product, prices are too high or too low, rampant crime and alcoholism. The current rules balance competing interests very well. Some suggest this product should be sold everywhere because every other product is. I would suggest that alcohol is not like other products. There are no other products where overuse is a violation of the law. The product can't be purchased if a person has consumed too much of it. Overuse leads to impairment that may lead to fatal consequences. The sale of a product requires additional specialty insurance called dram shop. If you begin to treat alcohol like other products, other restrictions arguably could be removed. Some states have gone this route. In Florida, liquor stores can be open until 3 a.m. In New Orleans and Las Vegas, you could drink on the street. In Wisconsin, dram shop insurance isn't required. Irrespective to your views in this legislation, it is important for you to know that the current system of regulation of alcohol works well in the state of Minnesota. In Minnesota, we have unparalleled product availability and consumer choice. We have lower than average alcohol prices. We have lower rates of social problems related to alcohol. And finally, we have nationally recognized thriving craft beer, wine, and spirits industry. Our system is smart and well balanced. We would urge you to continue to recognize the benefits that exist and resist wholesale changes that might upset the current balance that does exist. Experience in other states suggests that very soon grocery stores and big box retailers, as well as convenience stores, who currently sell 3.2% alcohol by volume, are likely to be at your doors urging you to allow them to sell beer at strengths greater than 3.2. While you know that these stores currently are allowed to sell strong beer, wine, and spirits. There are approximately 130 grocery stores that have already obtained liquor licenses to sell alcohol in connected stores with separate entrances. Target has recently retrofitted numerous stores with separate entrances to sell alcohol. And though there are fewer, some gas stations and convenience stores have also obtained liquor licenses and sell alcohol in that same way. All this has occurred without a law change. It is clear that existing law allows grocery stores and gas stations to obtain liquor licenses. The law does not have to be changed. Finally, if you remember one thing from today, I want to remember that the current system has served us well. And I want all Minnesotans to know who own bars and restaurants and liquor stores that the MLBA will continue to fight for the little guy and gal, for the family-owned businesses. Those folks still go to church in their communities where business is located, still contribute to school raffles, still are members of local service clubs, and continue to sell alcohol in a safe, responsible manner. I did want to make one additional point. It's been brought up in the past that a lot of liquor stores want this to pass. I've been at the MLBA for a little over 16 years, and I've made it my job every year for the last probably 8 to pull the liquor stores in the state of Minnesota. Now, to call 1,000 retail outlets is a bit daunting, but I tend to get between 800 and 850 of those license holders that I do talk to. In the last 8 years that I've polled our membership, between 90 and 93% of our retail outlets do not want Sunday sales. If this was such a good idea, wouldn't those 850 retail outlets be beating on your doors to allow them to open on Sundays? But that's not happening. I want you to listen to your business community on this issue, senators, and make a sound decision. Thank you so much for allowing me to testify, and I'll stand for any questions if you have them. Thank you.
Any questions by the members for Mr. Chesick? Seeing no questions, thank both of you very much for your testimony. Mr. Gettinger, if you would please come forward. Mr. Gettinger, if you'd please state your name and who you're representing.
Yes, I'm Mark Gettinger. I'm the owner of MD Liquors in Crystal, Minnesota.
Please proceed with your testimony.
I'm a small business owner, and I'm here today representing all of the small business liquor stores in the state of Minnesota to oppose this bill. I'm not asking you to oppose the bill because us little guys want a day off on Sunday. My opposition is not about that. My opposition and my concern is that the bill will spread 7 days of gross sales, or 6 days of gross sales over 7. An increase of 52 days a year in overhead to my business is equivalent of about 17% in additional operating expense. There are some statistics floated around that the states have passed Sunday sales have seen an average increase of 7% in gross annual sales. I think that figure is ridiculously high. It means that as a state, we would all need to drink 7% more this year than we did last year. So some people have argued that we don't have to be open on Sundays if we don't want to. Though it is true in reality, if one competitor stays open, it forces all of us to do so and freer of losing loyal customers. Monday and Tuesday are probably the worst revenue days in liquor stores, but we're still open. In fact, I'm not aware of any liquor store in the state that chooses to be closed on those days. If we're not open on Sundays, it just furthers the gap between us, the small business, and the billion-dollar corporate competition. Before Sunday sales should pass, there are other issues that should be addressed to level out the playing field between the small business liquor stores and the billion-dollar corporate competition to avoid the Walmart effect. How is it that I can buy a case of Jack Daniels and other major brands from Total Wine cheaper than my costs when the liquor deals are capped at 25 cases? How is it that a billion-dollar corporation can sell major brands at cost or below cost, forcing out the competition and get away with it? By passing Sunday sales, you will benefit the billion-dollar corporate chains that have lobbied so hard to get this passed, and will force even more small business liquor stores to close, limiting consumer options. Thank you for your time, Mark Gettinger, owner of MD Liquors.
Thank you, Mr. Gettinger. Are there any questions for Mr. Gettinger, the testifier? Seeing no questions from the members, thank you, Mr. Gettinger. We have a little time left for the folks that are in opposition, so if one more testifier would like to come forward and keep it very short, they could certainly come forward at this time. Seeing no more testifiers in opposition, are there any other testifiers from the public that would like to come forward in support of the liquor bill, Sunday sales? Seeing none, Senator Housley, is there any further discussion? By the members? Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And before I forget, I'd like to request a roll call.
Thank you, Senator Pratt. Roll call requested roll call granted.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Pratt, Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to state that, I agree with a lot of the testimony that the opposition has had, particularly the local business owners. I have privately owned small businesses in my district who have said the same thing. They've polled their members. They don't expect sales to increase in any amount. And I think it's a fallacy for us to believe that we're going to see a significant amount of increased tax revenue or these owners are going to see increased sales. They know their business better than we do. They built their businesses based on this model of 6 days and spreading out their costs. But I also recognize that our society's changed. Some may say it's not necessarily for the better, but it's changed, and I think we have to recognize that. And Mr. Chair, it's just, my vote today is going to reflect the fact that I think this is an inevitable change that will be coming to Minnesota at some point in time. And as best as we as a Commerce Committee can continue to hold the line and protect these small business owners who contribute so much to our communities, I would be supportive of that.
Senator Hausling.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Senator Miller, for bringing this forward, and thank you to all the testifiers. When we were all campaigning this summer, this was not one of the issues that was on the mouths of many of the people whose doors I've knocked, so it wasn't really a high priority for me. But in the last week, I have visited a lot of the store owners who in previous years had said they were against this, but I thought I'd do a back around, and a lot of them, especially since the House passed it, had changed their tune a little bit, realizing what Senator Pratt had said. They knew it was coming. And so, and just as of last night, I visited the Lakeland Village liquor store, and they were kind of excited. And I said, your mood has changed. And realize I live right along the St. Croix River, which Wisconsin is across the border. And the lines in Wisconsin on Sunday at the liquor stores were long. And at Lakeland Village liquor store, they said, you know what, we're getting used to it, and we're willing to try it out. And again, we're sent here to represent our district, and in the end, we vote our district. And from what I've been getting the emails and speaking to my liquor store owners, my district is in support of it. Thank you.
Members, any further comments or any further discussion? Senator Ecke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I appreciate what I heard, too, from a lot of our local small business owners, and I fully agree with them. I come from a district that throws in another little kink, and that's the fact that a lot of our liquor stores are municipal-owned. They are a big asset to our communities. They save our taxpayers a lot of money. They're adding monies to capital improvements and such. And I just don't believe that we're all going to go out and drink more because the stores are open another day. I was in the retail world for a number of years. Retailers were probably the worst ones for this because we created an environment where people got used to shopping 7 days a week whenever they wanted to. And now they're trying to do the same thing with alcohol. And I also came from North Dakota back in the days when you couldn't shop at all on Sundays. When they opened up on Sundays, they didn't gain sales, they just spread it out over 7 days. And we've heard that repeated a number of times today, and it does prove that plays out. So for my district too, I don't see any gains. I just see some negatives and would support the small business owners that Sunday is not going to be a benefit to them. Thank you.
Senator Limmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think some of the comments are correct. There has been a mood shift in the state community regarding this issue, and it is important to reflect the mood when you're representing the district. However, one should also consider the mood versus all of the facts before one makes a decision. Now, today I heard the comments about this would contribute to more sales of alcohol in Minnesota. is that really a selling point? I really have to ask that. We want more liquor sales in Minnesota. Maybe to a few merchants, that might be really important. But that also means that there's going to be more sales, more misuse, more accidents. In the Judiciary Committee, we just heard a report that close to 50 to 60% of all crime in the state of Minnesota has some contributing factor involving alcohol or drugs. And when I asked the question, what's the difference, or can you parse that difference, they said, well, alcohol is really the big player in it. It's about 85% of that percentage. And we want more sales in the state of Minnesota. So I guess I have to ask, yeah, we have a mood shift in Minnesota, I'll acknowledge that, but at the very same time, as we make this decision, I would hope that we would consider all of the factors. The other factors are, and perhaps someone in the proponents could tell me, they talked about the benefit, but what is the cost to Minnesota as a state? Could anyone come and tell me what the costs are to the state involving more liquor sales in the state of Minnesota? We've heard the benefits, but I'd like to know the costs so that we can all be well informed as we make this decision. Well, hearing none, Mr. Chair, I would like us to consider the cost of law enforcement, the cost of courts and court time, the cost of treatment programs, the cost of family dissolution, and of course, the intangible but priceless cost of a loss to a family of a loved one. And those are the factors that I'm weighing as I make this decision. I honestly believe this bill should go to the Senate floor and have this resolved, at least for this year. However, Mr. Chairman, if there's a motion to pass with a recommendation to pass, I cannot support that. But I would suggest, Mr. Chairman, that we move this bill as amended with no recommendation. I'd like to make that a motion with a roll call.
Senator Limmer moves that the bill be passed without recommendation to the Senate floor. Senator Miller, being your bill, do you have some comments you'd like to make?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Senator Limmer, and I appreciate your comments, and I really respect the opinions on both sides of this issue. Just a couple of comments. I was going to mention this in my closing comments, but first, on-sale liquor sales are already allowed on Sundays in the state of Minnesota. This would simply allow off-sale to be allowed on Sunday. And I'm going to share some closing comments prior to hopefully what's the next vote, but I would respectfully ask the committee to vote no on Senator Limmer's motion, and I'd like to see this be sent to the Senate floor with recommendation.
Discussion further, members? Hearing none. Senator Hayden.
Well, thank you, Mr.
Is this to the motion?
Yeah, this can be to the motion, and because I want to give
Continue.
Senator Miller the last comments. I just think that, I'm not sure if we send it with or without recommendation. I mean, what that sends. I appreciate Senator Limmer's internal conflict with what this might look like and allowing the full body to be able to talk about it. But let me just, so if I may, Mr. Chair, I'm not quite sure in the arguments about the increased alcohol use and what that might do for us. We spend a lot of time in the Health Committee talking about addiction and talking about the issues of chemical dependency. I've spent a lot of time, my own time, and have a lot of members of my family that actually work in chemical dependency as their livelihood or the work that they do. And I spent a lot of time talking to them about this particular issue. We got to understand addiction is a disease, and that those that have addiction will find a way, without treatment, without getting help, they will find a way to fuel that addiction. So I'm not quite sure that keeping opening off sale on Sunday fuels that addiction any more than what it's fueled today. If they can go into a bar, if they can go to Wisconsin, if they can buy a bunch on Saturday, if alcoholism is their addiction, they're going to find a way to get it. And the way to stop it isn't to stop it on Sunday. It is to identify it as a disease and properly get it diagnosed and then get them the help that they need. So I just think it's important that that gets out there. I know that many of us have different opinions about addiction and how it gets there, and all of us have been affected by it. But I don't think that this particular provision, at least when I talk to the experts, and some of them are very, very close to me, that they, and I won't kind of say their names because I don't know if their organizations are if their organizations are where they feel about this particular provision. But personally, that is not something. They said that they work with people if they have addiction, no matter what, and that Sundays isn't going to stop. We have an opioid epidemic in this state, in this country, and people get that on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, because they have an addiction, because they have a disease that is an addiction. So I just don't think that is the argument, and I can appreciate the small business owners that have come up today and those that belong to the licensed beverage organizations and others. But I've talked to small businesses and liquor stores in my community who have been fighting for this, who wanted to have it, who felt like it was not competitive for them to be able to not be able to open up their business and feed their families and on Sunday. And then also my constituents. I've heard more throughout this debate. The last time we had this conversation, we tracked this. We put it on our survey. This is something that my constituents say that they'd like the opportunity to have, no matter if it's a bottle of whatever kind of spirit to watch the Vikings game, or just this Sunday when I went to cook brats and I couldn't soak them, I couldn't cook them in any beer because it was Sunday and it was closed. And that was a thought that what my wife told me just the other day. So I just think we're at a point where we have this opportunity malls are open, stores are open, people's sporting events are happening on Sunday. And so I just don't think that we should restrict the sale as long as it's legal and it's being taxed appropriately and that there are the guardrails around it. But I don't see why we would not want to allow that opportunity to happen on Sunday simply because it's Sunday. I'm not a theologian, but there's other parts of the Bible that talk about wine in a different context. I was just talking to Senator Limmer about that, who is much better with the word than I am, but there's just a lot of different compelling reasons. I just don't think that we should, if we're going to move forward in this state, it looks like with Senator Miller, you have found some compromise with the folks who traditionally have not wanted this to happen. So I do think that we should move this forward with recommendation, allow the full body to have this conversation. I think it's time for Minnesota to kind of get itself in the 21st century.
Members, other discussion or comments? Seeing none.
Mr. Chair?
Senator Pratt.
Just a quick point of order. Are we voting on whether to move the bill with or without recommendation, or would this be a vote to move the bill? I'm a little bit confused on where we sit with and what we're being asked to vote on right now.
This bill is voting on if we want to send it to the floor without recommendation. If the bill passes, it'll be sent to the floor without recommendation. If the bill fails and the senator renews her motion, then we will vote on the original motion as renewed. Further questions? The motion in front of us is to move the Senate File 1086 to the floor without recommendation Roll call has been requested. Roll call will be granted. Madam Secretary, would you please take the roll?
Chairman,
I'm sorry, is it a roll call on the motion?
Yes.
Okay.
This is a roll call on this bill, on this motion.
On this motion.
On this motion. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Madam Chair.
Chairman Dames,
No.
Senator Chamberlain, Senator Champion,
Wait, hold on.
right?
So,
Mr. Chair?
just one more time.
Clarification.
Yeah,
If you vote yes, you're voting to send the bill to the floor without recommendation. If you vote no, you're voting this bill down, and we will, if you're voting this motion down.
Okay, this is strictly on the motion.
This is strictly on the motion
Okay.
to send to the floor without recommendation.
Then we'll have a separate vote on the bill itself.
That is correct if somebody offers the bill.
Okay, wait.
Mr. Chair?
Someone clarify this for this silly man here.
Yes, I'll clarify it again. Senator Miller.
Mr. Chair, I would ask for a no vote on the motion.
On this motion.
Mr. Chair,
Further questions?
I just want to clarify this.
Yes.
Just for clarity, it appears to me
Yes.
that the motion is to pass this bill without recommendations.
Correct.
If that is successful, then,
Yes.
then the bill goes to the floor without recommendations.
Correct.
The only way that we vote a second time, my brother from another mother, is if that motion fails. If that motion fails, then she can renew her motion for
Yes.
the bill to pass
Exactly.
with recommendation. So I just want to make sure that we have clarity around the table. Thank you so much for your
Yep, and that's basically, yes, that's
Mr.
basically
Chair,
what I
Senator
explained
Miller-
to start with. Exactly.
Mr.
Yep.
Chair, Senator Miller, you're saying you would recommend a no vote on this motion.
Mr. Chair, Senator Champion, I would recommend a no vote on this motion.
Let's go through this.
Mr. Chair, just to make sure, he said Senator Champion, and I know we look alike. but I
Senator
just want you to
Chamberlain.
know. I'm Senator Champion, and this is Senator Chamberlain. Just so that you're clear, okay? That's why I said he is my brother from another mother, but he is Chamberlain, I am Champion.
Okay, let's get back to business here. Let's
you
go
guys
through
were
this one
twins.
more time. The motion on the floor is to pass the bill to the floor without recommendation. If you vote yes on this motion, you're voting to send the bill to the floor without recommendation. If you vote no on this motion, you're voting not to send the bill to the floor without recommendation. If this bill fails, somebody will have the opportunity to renew their motion on the original motion. That will then be voted on, and if that vote fails, the bill will not go forward. If that vote passes, then the bill will go forward, and this will be sent to the Senate floor with recommendation. Any further questions before we vote?
No.
Hearing none, Madam Secretary, would you continue with the roll call?
Mr. Chair, I'll start over. Chairman Dames.
No.
Senator Chamberlain,
No.
Senator Champion,
No.
Senator Hayden,
No.
Senator Housley,
No.
Senator Coran. No. Senator Latz,
Yes.
Senator Limmer,
Yes.
Senator Pratt,
Yes.
Senator Sparks,
Yes.
Senator Utke.
No.
There being 7 against and 4 for, the motion fails.
Mr. Chair?
Senator Housley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to renew my motion that Senate File 1086 as amended be recommended to pass and sent to the floor.
Senator Miller, any closing comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. I'll make them very brief. First of all, thank you to you, Mr. Chair, and the committee for hearing Senate File 1086. We heard a lot of good testimony on both sides of the issue today, and I appreciate that testimony. Obviously, people are passionate on both sides, and I certainly respect that. First, I want to make sure that the record is clear that I did not mention anything about guarantees of increased sales. That did not come from me. I do have some thoughts on it, but certainly no guarantees or promises. And I will also mention that I've heard from a lot of liquor stores, large and small, mostly small, that I've heard from in the district that I represent about this issue. But I've really heard from the people. This started, my efforts on this started 6 years ago with Senator Roger Reinert. It's been a bipartisan issue during my time in the Senate, and momentum has been building. And during my time in the Senate, I have not seen a stronger grassroots effort by the people to get something done. And members, the people have spoken loud and clear on this issue, and I think it's time for us to get this done and give liquor stores the option, give them the opportunity to be open on Sundays if they so choose.
Members, any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, Senator Housley renews her motion to pass the bill as amended out of the committee to the Senate floor with recommendation to pass. A roll call has been requested. A roll call has been granted. Madam Chair, Madam Secretary, would you please do the roll?
Chairman Dames,
No.
Senator Chamberlain,
Yes.
Senator Champion,
Yes.
Senator Hayden,
Yes.
Senator Housley,
Yes.
Senator Curran,
Yes.
Senator Latz,
Yes.
Senator Limmer, Senator Pratt,
Yes.
Senator Sparks,
No.
Senator Utke,
No.
There being 7 ayes and 4 nays, the Senate File 1086 is passed to the Senate floor with recommendation to pass. Members, this concludes our business. So the committee is adjourned.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members.
Oh, now we got 4 sessions downstairs.